lovelies, how's it going? So today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 clay, this is a long sentence, my top 10 festive clay and decoration ideas. And of course, if you've been here a while, you will already know that I cannot resist a good old-fashioned creative experiment. So I'm going to make 5 of them out of air dry clay and 5 of them out of polymer clay so that we can really compare the differences between the two. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started with idea number 1. Let's make all the air dry clay stuff first, since this is going to take a few days to dry. First up, little clay cookies that you can use as festive decorations. And this idea works all year round. Bunnies for spring, pumpkins for autumn, or whatever this mystery shape is meant to be. I'm going to use these classic festive shapes. I rolled out the clay just like you would with real gingerbread dough. For some reason, I attempted to spin the clay like pizza dough, which is much harder than it looks. And when my rolling pin got stuck, I could see it made a face. Once I'd had my fun, I started to cut out the shapes and used a straw to punch holes for the string. It did feel a bit brutal on the gingerbread man, smack bang in the middle of his forehead, but sacrifices must be made if you wish to join the Bunting gang. I smoothed the edges with a little water to give them that freshly baked look, then set them aside to dry. Next, I wanted to try and make a Christmas tree lantern, just like the ones that I'd seen on Pinterest. But I couldn't actually find any tutorials, so I was just winging it. I made a cone using an old plastic milk bottle and wrapped some rolled out clay around it, trimming the excess and smoothing everything out. I couldn't help but notice that this looked just like a party hat, which fit perfectly on one of Mariah's plushies, Pickle. Very dashing. Now for the holes. I tried using my straw again to remove the majority of the clay. Then I attempted to turn one into a star with probably not the best tool for the job. It was looking very gouged and messy, so I filled that in, tried just going with simple holes, but managed to create something that looked like some kind of nightmare alien Swiss cheese. Not very festive. We were actually a few hours in at this point, so I scrapped the lantern idea completely and decided to turn this into just a regular Christmas tree ornament. I added some whimsical kind of snow textured layers, a few baubles, and a star for the top. It is possibly a bit oversized, but actually, I think it looks pretty good. One thing that I have learned making these videos over the past year is that exaggerating details almost always looks better than playing it safe. Next, a mince pie style trinket dish. I cut out a circle using a glass without realising there was actually still water at the bottom of it. So yes, tip of the day, empty your glass first, my lovelies. I attempted to shape the crust by pressing the glass down to lift the edges, accidentally creating a vacuum that made the glass impossible to remove without destroying the pie. So again, do as I say, not as I do. Just fold the edges up like a normal person. It did start to resemble an earlobe, but adding some pastry texture definitely solved that problem. Maybe that's why they do it. I sculpted some holly leaves and berries for the centre, not leaving very much room for trinkets. This might actually make a better lid for a pot. Next, we're making a festive animal bauble, starting with a kind of hooked teardrop body, little feet, textured fluffy hat with some little ears poking through. Then came the pudding, with teeny tiny holly berries, much like the mince pie dish, but much more fiddly. I added some toe beans, a nose and a tail. While drying, he did kind of fall apart, so I patched him up with some fresh clay, mixed with a touch of Mod Podge, just to give it that extra bit of strength. For the final air dry clay make, I wanted something inspired by my foam clay wreath last week, but with a twist. Instead of leaves, I twisted 2 clay strands together so it would look like a marshmallow, turned it into a loop, added a bow and attached a wire hook. And this will be a hanging photo frame ornament. Now this little marshmallow wreath sparked the birth of a new idea. Character of the week! Each week I'll create a brand new character inspired by whatever I'm working on. And today's character is Mallobow Mandy. Not Malibu, Mallobow, the marshmallow hamster. She's eaten so many marshmallows that the artificial colouring has started to turn her into one. A self-declared bow artist, Mandy proudly creates gloriously wonky designs, including the questionable bow perched proudly on her head. While most artists wrestle with self-doubt, Mandy has not a single wobble of it. Her radiant self-belief outshines everything, which is why everyone absolutely adores her work. Let me know what you think of this weekly segment idea. If we end up with enough characters, I might even be able to create a guidebook or a colouring book of them. I mean, it's probably going to take like a year, but we've got to start somewhere. But in the meantime, I could definitely add them to sticker sheets, mugs, and lots more. I'll pop a link to my website if you'd like to check out what's on there already. I recently released a whole bunch of festive stuff. Now, back to the sculpting. We've got Fimo Soft Polymer Clay for the next 5 ideas. This bakes at 110 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. This gift is for my son's birthday, a keychain of his favourite teddy, aptly named Teddy. Hello! I think it was originally from IKEA. He's looking very loved. So after conditioning, I chopped up some small clay sections for each part, sculpted slightly more chunky than accurate limbs for durability, and I decided to position one of his arms waving. I did use some wire and liquid Sculpey for some extra support and stickage when needed, and smoothed everything with cornstarch. After adding his ears and a keychain hook, he was finished. Thank you for modelling, Teddy. Well, next up, robin-shaped earrings. These were super simple. Each bird was just a ball with wings and a beak, and some hooks. Done. Next, we're going to make some friendship charms, shaped like 2 halves of a Christmas cracker. If you want to go the next level with these, you could embed magnets so the 2 halves snap together. I scored a kind of centre line, shaped the ends with some pokey tools just to kind of replicate that cylindrical shape. And if you do install magnets, make sure not to install them backwards like I did with my imaginary ones, as they could repel each other, unless you perhaps want to gift them to your enemy. Next, we're making a mini gingerbread house. I rolled some evenly thick clay using some post-it notes as guides, cut a base with a cookie cutter, then sketched design templates for the walls and the roof. This plastic knife was kind of useless, but scissors worked surprisingly well. In hindsight, I probably should have baked the pieces before assembling them, but instead I built it while it was still squishy, creating what can only be described as a homemade look. But I'm hoping that some colourful paint might help fix it. And finally, project number 10, a cat-shaped phone stand. I squished my phone straight into a ball of clay to shape the groove, added a tail for some extra support, sculpted the face and ears, smoothed it all off with cornstarch, and then popped everything in the air fryer, made myself a cup of tea, had a little chill, took them out the air fryer, just noticing the flakes of croissant there. Now the moment of truth. Does this cat hold a phone? Let's try portrait. Yes. Landscape. Also yes. And because the ears are nice and small, it doesn't block the screen. Honestly, I might be keeping this one for myself. I think it would look cute on my desk. Next, I primed all of the air dry clay. Wow, that's pink. Using a mix of matte Mod Podge, acrylic primer, and water. A tip that one of you guys actually suggested recently. Air dry clay is naturally chalky, so without priming it, acrylic paint can peel off. Once everything was ready, it was time to add a splash of colour. So let's make this part a festive musical time lapse. Okay, So that's everything painted. And just to confirm, no, my hands didn't shrink halfway through. I recruited my little helper Lily for the gingerbread house. Honestly, I had taken on too much again. I don't know why I do it to myself. But actually, fun idea, gift someone an unpainted creation to decorate themselves. Now, since most of these were brand new makes for me, it was definitely a learning curve. But I really enjoyed working with both types of clay. The air dry can kind of dry out while you're using it, but then takes days to dry. Usually needs some repair work and that protective primer. But I do love the playful, messy, primal feel of using air dry clay. It's very freeing somehow. It's like being a kid again, which can spark creativity in itself. It's easy for all ages to work with, as it only needs minimal conditioning to resuscitate it if it's gone a bit sweaty. As for the polymer clay, some types of it are very difficult to condition. You're gonna need a pasta machine. The Fimo Soft isn't too bad, but I'd say it's not as widely suitable for everyone. However, I do love polymer clay's predictability and strength. It's basically plastic, so it's going to last a long time. It doesn't dry out while it sits on your desk, allowing time for more complex and intricate projects. It sticks together really easily and generally looks more polished. Not to mention that it bakes solid in just 30 minutes. Let me know which type is your favourite, but honestly, I think they both deserve a spot in the art shed. I am quite pleased with how all of these projects turned out. Well, apart from the gingerbread house. Not Lily's painting, that definitely gave it a glow up. More the construction. Plus the trinket dish that doesn't really have room for any trinkets. I think the earrings and the charms turned out cute. Definitely the speediest gift ideas. And the pastel cookies will certainly add some festive cheer to the shed. And there are so many different ways that you could decorate them. The festive bear was a bit of a nightmare to paint around the pudding. I did most of it off camera because it was like 2 inches away from my face. But I think he will make the perfect gift for someone that I clean for, who is now a good friend. I actually love everything about the Mallobow Mandy picture frame. I think with these colours, it could stay on my shelf all year round. I just need to find the right photo for it. I was genuinely surprised that the phone stand worked, but now I'll be able to sit and watch all of my lovely fellow art YouTuber friends while I'm creating. The Christmas tree did have a rough start, but I think it turned out kinda iconic. It's way more colourful than it would have been, and a lot more me. And of course, let's not forget Teddy. He's definitely the most special of all. And since it's polymer, it should be super strong. So it's a little something James can hopefully keep for years and years to remember his old Teddy and of course his old mom. Which one of these is your favourite? Do let me know if you give any of these ideas a try, and also if you do have any of your own ideas, please do share them in the comments. I've honestly learnt so much from you guys. Thank you all for watching, and I shall see you next week. See ya!